Hey everyone, just a heads up, no, I am not an expert on Pokemon, and no, I am not an expert on Dragon Ball. I just came up with this idea. If y'all think I could improve on this idea anymore, just let me know. Otherwise, just enjoy the video. Also, P.S. there may be some language not intended for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Okay, so what's going on, everybody? Great Angel here, and welcome back to, well, I guess this really isn't back to, since I am starting a brand new type of series here that's not a Let's Play? What? Yes, as I told you all before, that I am going to be starting a Dragon Ball type of content on this channel. So, here it is, everybody. I am actually going to start kind of, maybe not a what if, but like, I'm going to have a lot of Dragon Ball content on this channel, and that's what this is right now. Basically, what we are doing is we are going to pit a Pokemon, Arceus, versus pretty much anyone from Dragon Ball. We're going to basically scale down and try to see exactly who Arceus could, in theory, take on a challenge with in the Dragon Ball universe. Now, the reason I'm saying Arceus specifically is because most Pokemon, they couldn't hold a candle to pretty much anyone in the Dragon Ball universe. The reason I'm starting with specifically Arceus, not because he's like my favorite Pokemon or anything like that, but because he's basically, well, God. And honestly, this video, I'm going to tell you right now, I could be very, very, very wrong. But that's just because through all the research I've done for this video, it's kind of, well, there's no answers. There's barely any answers for this stuff at all, and I'm doing my best. I'm going to try my best to explain to you guys just how well Arceus can do against Dragon Ball characters. Now, for those of you that are coming in for said Dragon Ball content, welcome. This is my channel. I am the Great Angel. As I said before, I do mostly Let's Plays, but I'm also going to be doing other stuff as well. A lot of Pokemon. There's Pokemon Let's Plays. I'm actually doing an Amnesia, Amnesia the Dark Descent playthrough right now, and pretty much a playthrough of all the Doom games right now. And I like to do some streaming on the side here too. But without further ado, we're going to get straight into this, because this is going to be a long video. Just letting you know right now, especially how much I ramble on. But anyways, we're just going to dive straight into this. Arceus versus Dragon Ball, as the title explains. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Pokemon power scaling, pardon my language, is fucked, depending on the media that it's in. Basically, the video games, the anime, and the manga are all different. Arceus has 3 different forms, depending on the media he is in. Now, granted, I'm not going to get into canon, non-canon debates, but it's always been up in the air as far as what the official canon for Pokemon is. A lot of people think it's the anime, even though it's the most far-fetched out of all of them. The original Pokemon was video games. So, as far as canon goes, we're going to go off of video games just for posterity's sake. We're not actually going to go very much into canon and everything. We're going to be using all 3 forms, and not really the trading card game, because there's just too much up in the air with that, but we're going to use the 3 main, as far as the main series video games. No, none of the Rangers of Sky, none of the side games and stuff like that, but the anime, which just the main anime with Ash, Brock, Misty, Dawn, whatever. And then the Pokemon Adventures manga, which actually Arceus himself does not appear in the actual... Well, it's a Pokemon Adventures special manga for the Arceus, well, no. They do have an Arceus special. They do have an Arceus special manga for the Jewel of Life, but they also have Arceus in the main Pokemon Adventures manga, which we will go into as well. But to get started, basically, Arceus has pretty much limitless potential. He is basically God because, well, he is God. He created everything within the world and everything, and he created the world, pretty much. So that's going to make things difficult. That's going to make things very difficult because Arceus has incredible potential because he has the potential to basically destroy the universe if he really wanted to, because he created said universe. So it's kind of very, very confusing, but we'll get farther into that and everything later on down the line. But as far as Dragon Ball characters go, Dragon Ball in general has much better potential than anything Arceus has to bring to the table. Arceus is just powerful against Dragon Ball characters specifically because he can destroy the entire universe. Now, I'll go into little minor details about how Dragon Ball characters are. And for those of you that don't know who Arceus is, he is a Pokemon. He is basically the deity Pokemon, the god Pokemon. He created the universe. He created the creation trio, which was Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, which are the beings of time, space, and the distortion world, respectively. And he also created the lake trio, which was Azlef, Mesprit, and Uxie. But they're not. They're feelings and everything. I forget exactly what, but they're not going to play a major role in this right now. Now, as far as Dragon Ball characters go, we are literally going to span the entirety of Dragon Ball, except for GT, because we're not counting. As far as canon goes, we will go with the canon in Dragon Ball for right now. I hate that word. I don't like using it, but GT will not be included in this. We are just going to be spanning the entirety of Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Super at the current point that we are at now. And at this current time, we are just about to enter in terms of the Japanese anime, we are just about to enter the Tournament of Power. It was just episode 90, I believe, just passed, which was where we find out about Gohan and Goku sparring off, in Gohan in his ultimate form and Goku using Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken against him. I'm not going to spoil that for those that have not watched it yet, but anyways, we are going to be spanning all of that. Basically, the world of Dragon Ball, you have these superhuman people that are so much stronger than any other person out there. In the very second saga of the original show, Dragon Ball, or manga, whichever you would want to look at, basically, the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, which is the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament in the English dub, is basically Krillin, Kuririn, and Muten Roshi, Master Roshi. Well, as he was known at the time, Jackie Chun, because he wasn't Master Roshi, but they faced off. This is just giving you an example because this is going to come majorly in handy later on in this video. And they basically fought at the speed of light. Because in their fight, they actually, in a flash of light, they just disappeared and fought each other. But nobody saw anything, and later on, after their clash happened, which was maybe a total of like 2 or 3 seconds, they went back and was like, and they were saying, they explained how they fought, even though they disappeared from sight to everyone in the arena. They basically explained it, and it took a whole minute and a half to explain everything they did. Like, Krillin jumped back and did a backflip, and Jackie Chun tried to kick him in the face and bite his face or something like that. I forget the exact details of the fight, but it basically, they're fighting at light speed in the second saga of a 42-volume manga at the end of DBZ, which was, this was the second volume. So you can imagine how fast they are at the end of the series. So that's just going to give you an example of their potential. But enough with the introductions. Let's get on with the actual meat of this, which I'm going to warn you, that's pretty much all the explanation I'm going to give as far as Dragon Ball goes. If you guys want to look more into it that don't know really much about Dragon Ball, I highly recommend it. I would recommend starting with the original Dragon Ball. If you're not big into subbed anime, the English dub is not bad. I personally have not watched all of the Japanese sub yet, even though I would say I'm not a casual fan, but I'm not a hardcore, but that's not regardless, so whatever the word is. But anyways, getting on to Arceus himself, we're going to basically get to the meat of this right now and explain just how to kill Arceus, which honestly you really can't, from what I'm aware of. In the video games, you just can't. He can't officially die, because in the video games, if you were to fight him in the Hall of Origin in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, which doesn't actually exist. It does in the game's code, but they never released an event for it or anything like that, so you can never officially get to it. But when you do get to it, and you have the Azure Flute in your possession, and you do the whole thing, and you face off against him, if you manage to make him faint, he doesn't actually die. He just disappears from sight. And it's presumed that he will come back later. But you can only get to the Hall of Origin once. That's all the Azure Flute is useful for. So it's essentially like any other legendary. He just doesn't come back. But the thing is, he's able to be captured in a Pokeball in those games. It's possible to capture God. So, granted, later on down the line when we're talking about... Honestly, when I talk about being captured in a Pokeball, against Dragon Ball characters, it really doesn't matter. The only one that it's actually going to matter is the next media that we're going to talk about is the anime, which basically he is seemingly I am going to trip over this word a lot. He is seemingly omnipotent in the anime when he has all of his plates at his disposal. For those of you that don't know about Arceus, basically he created the Earth, and he also created these plates that represent each typing of Pokemon throughout the world, which basically is anything from the Earth. So, like, you have steel, you have dragon, you have lightning, you have grass, you have water, blah 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 blah. A lot of you know what the types of Pokemon are. So, but in the anime, he gave away, in the anime version of the movie, The Jewel of Life, he actually gives away this, well, the title of the movie, The Jewel of Life, which basically is his plates of ground, electric, water, grass, fire, and dragon. It's basically used to create life in this barren wasteland where they are residing, and it's to help sprout life into the area so that these people that are living here, they have been trying to cultivate this area for ages, and then meteor strikes come down, but Arceus comes and saves them, and he gives them the Jewel of Life to help create, to bring back life to this dead area. But he says, I will come back for this someday, and when I do, I want the Jewel of Life back. And that's how the whole movie goes into. That's how the whole movie, the basis of the movie. If you wanna know more, watch the movie. It's actually not bad for a Pokemon movie. I do enjoy that movie. But because of this actually makes him susceptible to both electric and water. He is, granted, this is not much. Everything else he resists. Every other type he can resist, mostly thank you to Steel, but because he gave away this Jewel of Life, it makes him susceptible to electric types and water types, which we will get into later when we actually have him facing off against Dragon Ball characters that will play a crucial role. But he is also immune to normal, fighting, ground, poison, and psychic types, which, honestly, I didn't go into much detail with that later on, but if you guys want a second video, I can obviously do a lot more research into this later, and we can actually get this fleshed out a lot more. But that's enough about killing him in the anime. I'm just giving you the basics groundwork of what we're going to do. Right now I'm trying to rush through this because I know this is going to be a long video at this point. But anyway, enough of my rambling. In the manga, Arceus is basically, like, the manga, they make him just incredible. Like, the manga, he is just seemingly omnipotent in general, but because he's never shown being captured, but he can. It's assumed that he can. If he opens up his heart to a trainer, they can become partners, because it was shown that, I believe it's Crystal, tries to capture him, and he opens up his heart at first to her, but then Team Rocket steps in and tries to capture him, but he gets away and gets enraged and goes and attacks Ecruteak City. But also in the manga, he was shown to have basically no control, because he was proven to be able to be controlled by humans. Because later on, when Team Rocket goes to the Sinjo ruins with the three main characters, Silver, Gold, and Crystal, they were proven to show that, yeah, you bring these Arceus's plates in front of him, he just crumbles to dust. He can't do anything. So that's a way to kill him. But we'll go into more of that later when we get into the actual fights. That's going to be a running thing here. But anyways, moving on. Arceus' strengths, though, honestly, this is the most polarizing part of himself. Just because he's basically capable in all three variations of destroying the universe if he really wants to. If he really wanted to, he could destroy the universe in an instant in any of the media. But it's never shown, so we don't know how exactly it works, if it's a gradual thing, or if it's just like, okay, boom, you're gone. Because that's how Zeno works in Dragon Ball. He Basically, he says, okay, I don't like this, bye-bye, and then it goes bye-bye. So, we don't know if Arceus is that way, or if it's a gradual thing, like in Christian religion, they say it took God 7 days to create. So, we don't know if that's the same way with Arceus, or he just, boom, there, it create. We don't know. But anyway, let's get on to the actual medias. In the video games, Arceus is probably the weakest variation of himself, due to the fact that they state that he can hold any of the plates, but in the actual games, he's only shown being able to hold one at a time. So, can he use all of them? If he's out in the wild, is it a thing that they're just part of his being and he can just switch between them at any given time, or what? There's too many questions about himself in the actual video games. There's too many questions about a lot of them, but mostly the video games. But he could also potentially be the strongest in terms of all of them, just because we don't know if he can actually, like, you know, fight. I mean, we can tell that he's very powerful. He has the highest base stat total of any normal type Pokemon, but he surely doesn't have the highest base stat total of all Pokemon. So we don't really know. Like, in terms of strength, there are Pokemon that are stronger than him, but he's said to have created the universe, so why can't he do that when you're using him? I don't know, but I know it seems like I'm just going in circles here, but don't worry, there will be a conclusion to this. But honestly, as far as the video games go, there's just too much mystery and skepticism to be able to tell much about him, but we do find some answers later on down the line. But as far as the anime goes, if he has all the plates, he's undefeatable. He can destroy all of Dragon Ball. Doesn't matter. He destroys even the king of everything, Zeno. Which, for any of you that don't know who Zeno is, this is him. But anyway, with the Jewel of Life given away, though, the anime, as I said, is probably the most polarizing of all of Arceus, because with the Jewel of Life given away, he may be able to be defeated by Jackie Chun in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, which World Martial Arts Tournament. In that second saga, which honestly he could possibly be defeated by Kid Goku in first episode if he gave away the Jewel of Life, just because of their superhuman speed. It's just, we'll get more into that later, though. But as far as the manga goes, as I said before, he is much more resilient than either of the other two, due to the fact that he could easily hold off every single thing that was thrown at him in the manga until his plates were brought in front of him. He was able to fight off Team Rocket, all of their attacks. He was able to fight off Crystal. He was able to fight off Silver. He was everything. He just threw everything away. And that's with no plates in his possession at all. And he was just like, eh. And he is much more resilient in the manga than any of the other medias. But again, if he was given the plates, he would be unstoppable. I'm not going to deny that one. This is probably the most rock solid that we could ever say. He would defeat everything in Dragon Ball with his plates with him in the manga, which is why when we get to the actual fight later on, we're not going to use the manga version very much at all. But, as I said, once a human was in possession of the plates, he just crumbled to dust, and all he could do was obey Team Rocket when they brought it in front of him. And he was just like, okay, you have those? Shit. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, like, it doesn't make much sense, but I try to make the most sense out of this as I possibly can, and honestly, we're gonna dive into the meat of this now. I'm gonna explain to you guys exactly how this will work, because now we're getting straight into him versus all of Dragon Ball. So we've talked about his strengths, we've talked about his weaknesses, we've talked about how much he can resist. Honestly, though, in all of the media, he's pretty much the same speed. He doesn't really change in terms of speed throughout the entirety of the medias, which is going to come into very handy later on. So we will talk about that later on. But let's start it off in terms of him facing off against Dragon Ball characters. In the video games, theoretically, in terms of strength, he could be defeated by pretty much any of the superhuman characters since the start of Dragon Ball without any of his plates, due to the fact that he has been shown to be able to be defeated by any group of Pokemon, which, honestly, you can take one level 100 Pokemon to his fight in the Hall of Origin and defeat him if you really wanted to. So even then, he's not that strong. But as I stated before, he just disappears from sight. So we don't really know if he can actually be killed or not. He may just return back after he recovers his power. Now, a lot of you may know the move called the Mafuba from Dragon Ball, which is basically the evil containment wave that they use to seal away King Piccolo near the end of Dragon Ball and try to reseal him away in the rice cooker, but it didn't really work. But that's a whole different story. If you want to know more about that, watch Dragon Ball. But because of how they state the Mafuba works, it can only seal away evil people, and technically Arceus is judgment, justice, good. He's just a judge. He's not evil per se, so in theory the Mafuba would not work against him. That's in theory, but Dragon Ball Super may have retconned that idea with the whole thing with Zamasu, or Zamas, whatever you want to call him, because they were able to seal him away, they just forgot the little sticker thing to actually seal him away. And he was technically good, but we really don't know. He was justice incarnate, and he wanted to bring justice to mortals and everything, but in an essence he was evil, but he was a Kaioshin. Well, he wasn't a Kaioshin yet, but Kaioshin is basically Supreme Kai. He is a god of creation, and he's supposed to be good, but I don't know. I mean, that whole arc was very polarizing, and we really don't know. He was doing it for good, but I guess every villain is supposedly doing their stuff for good, so I really don't know. But suffice it to say, the Mafuba probably will not work against Arceus. However, if we can assume that he can use any of his plates at his free will, he could theoretically block the majority of any damage thrown at him due to the fact that he has all of the elements as his shields. So, in theory, without his plates, he's paper thin, and he can be defeated in Episode 1 of Dragon Ball by Kid Goku. But with all of his plates at his disposal, he could, in theory, be undefeatable, given the circumstances, and defeat Zeno currently at episode 90. Yeah. But he's also been proven that his strength, that he created the universe, and while not physically shown in the games, it's reasonable to assume that he can destroy whatever he wants of the universe as well. To what extent he is capable of doing this is unknown in any medium. However, because we are never shown him creating anything or destroying anything either, it may take years to actually create or destroy something on his own, like I've said before. But this is unlike Zeno, who has been proven to destroy in the blink of an eye. So, again, polarizing. So, in terms of strength, we can reasonably assume that he is as strong, if not stronger than Zeno, in the fact he can erase existence and everything within it if he chooses. But in terms of sheer resilience, he falls to any superhuman character since the beginning of the series without his plates. So, if we were to scale him with or without his plates together, it's reasonable to assume that he could very likely just erase any of the main cast of Dragon Ball Super in the blink of an eye, including Zeno, due to the fact we never see how his powers of creation actually work. The only way that any character could actually stand against him is due to their speed, as I mentioned before. As I mentioned before, Arceus is not fast compared to Dragon Ball people. As I mentioned before, the Krillin versus Jack and Chun match, they were shown being able to move at the speed of light. Arceus is not the speed of light. So, in theory, these guys could lay a hand on him if they wanted to, but he is also powerful, and if someone were to piss him off, he could just be like, okay, bye. So, honestly, in terms of strength and speed put together, I think at a minimum it would have to be DBZ tier, because, in the Namek Saga, the Frieza or SSJ Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, for those of you that are not Dragon Ball aware. Because basically by that point, they are even faster, they are extremely fast, they are much more powerful, that possibly they could land enough hits on him where he wouldn't be able to actually they'd be able to get to him fast enough and land enough hits on him fast enough to be able to take him out. But that's a lot of guesswork, and we really don't know. But that's going to be a running thing here. Now, this is basically going to be for all of the mediums that, yes, he will possibly be able to not be able to take damage. Not take damage. I'm sorry, everybody. This is my first video like this. I will get better. But either way. Basically, right now, all we really know is Arceus may be able to stand up against SSJ Goku or Full Power Frieza, but maybe not much more than that, just because of everybody's sheer speed and by that point, power. Because, yes, he is not as powerful. In terms of power, he may be able to one-shot Frieza if he really wanted to with his Judgment attack, purely due to the fact that he can make it whatever he wants, and there's not really never shown how powerful his Judgment attack could really be. And again, I say, scaling Pokemon versus Dragon Ball, it's not going to work too well, just because of how the nature of everything works. But honestly, I think he could one-shot Frieza if he really wanted to, just with one of his regular judgment attacks, not destroying the universe. But we never know. He could also just say, "Bye, bitches," and just destroy the universe if he really felt it necessary. But in terms of the anime fleshes him out so much more. Much, much more. And it's quite possibly the most polarizing of the versions, as I said before. Arceus' strength, as I said before in the anime, seems to be the strongest out of all of them, just because he was able to trounce all three of the creation trio without breaking a sweat by himself with the Jewel of Life given away. And he didn't even really need to block anything. Like, he needed to block a couple of attacks with his plates that he was currently in possession of. But the only thing that could actually stand a semi-chance against him is Palkia, just because water. Palkia is able to use water attacks because he's water and dragon. Don't ask me why, but I always found Palkia a bit confusing, and same with Dialga. But regardless, the only Pokemon that could possibly do something to him is Palkia in it, and he didn't even really do much. He was taken out pretty quickly. But in terms of strength, I'm going to skip straight to it. In terms of strength, we can tell just from his regular attacks that he is extremely powerful, and he's probably on par in terms of strength as he would be in the video games as well. But again, we don't know just due to the fact we never see him create or destroy anything. But in terms of resistances, though, he seems to be much more resilient in the anime than he was in the video games. Though, since we don't see that he can be captured at all, he puts up an amazing fight against the Creation Trio, entirely trouncing all of them, as I said, even with the Jewel of Life given away. But later on in the movie, he still has the Jewel of Life given away, but he's subdued completely and easily by, granted, it's hundreds of basic Pokemon using electric attacks, which we have shown he is not resistant to. But even then, he seemed to put up a decent fight against hundreds of these Pokemon that are using something that he cannot resist. And even to the fact he was caught by surprise, too. But, I mean, granted, he was still captured within the Mercury in the end. I believe it was Mercury, I'm not really sure, until Ash had to save him, but that's a different matter entirely. So, if I were to rate his overall defenses to Dragon Ball standards, he could probably put up a great fight against most anything in the show with the Jewel of Life in his possession. But that's a running trend, and with all his plates, he is going to put up an amazing fight against anything, even Zeno. But with the Jewel of Life given away, again, he could possibly be harmed by Jackie Chun in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, just due to the fact that he used an electric attack, which was, I don't actually know the name of this one. I know a lot of the names. I do not know the name of the electric attack that Jackie Chun used against Goku. But he used an electric-like attack that basically completely immobilized Goku. But, granted, that is one man using an electric attack versus hundreds of Pokemon. Granted, this is a very super powerful man, is superhuman almost. Well, he is superhuman. But we also don't know the extent of the Pokemon that were in that cavern. There could have been Zapdos, Raikou, Electivire, Magnezone. Extremely powerful electric-type Pokemon there. Because it was proven that they could get extremely powerful Pokemon. Marcus tamed a Heatran, of all things. things. So with that knowledge, he could easily be put at probably, again, Namek Saga Frieza level, because there are no other characters that we can tell throughout the series that uses electric or water-like attacks that I'm fully aware of. Again, as I said in the beginning, I'm not the greatest in terms of Dragon Ball lore, but to my knowledge, I'm not over anyone that can. But I say Namek Saga Full Power Frieza again, just purely due to the fact of their speed. The speed is going to be a critical thing in all of this. Arceus is not fast, or at least not DBZ fast, or Dragon Ball fast at that. He may have omnipotent power, as I said, and that's all well and good, but if he can't get an attack off, then there's no point. There's no point in explaining this again, however, so we'll just move on. In the manga version of Arceus, I say, the strongest out of all of them. In terms of everything. He seemingly has omnipotent power, so again, as strong as Zeno. That's pretty consistent. But he is much more resilient than the other versions. He was pretty much unstoppable to anything anyone threw at him, blocking attacks off like they were nothing. But there was the drawback. Once the plates were in Team Rocket's possession, they brought into Arceus' possession, he crumbled like a stack of cards. So honestly, if the Dragon Ball heroes or anyone knows/finds all of Arceus' plates and brings them into his position, they win. Great. He's weaker than power level 5 Farmer, and they can do whatever they want with him. But in the Dragon world, I doubt anyone knows and or could find the plates, especially since it's a separate dimension and they, I'm pretty sure, are not going to exist there. There's no point in even making this argument. Arceus in the manga just purely omnipotent. He can defeat Zeno and wipe out existence if he wanted to. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is probably the easiest power scale and quite possibly the worst of them all. I didn't like this version of Arceus. He's just too Superman, and I don't like it. So, in terms of scaling all of them, the best one to put up a fight against well, Dragon Ball is probably the anime, but I'm going to actually combine all of these into one. Yes, I'm going to actually basically voice out this fight. I'm going to narrate this fight. This is going to be the bread and butter here, people. I'm obviously going to fine-tune this later on down the road and everything, and make these commentaries much better, but for right now, I just have to say, this fight is going to be purely headcanon. This is not real, obviously, and could be quite far-fetched. As I said, I'm going to try to bring in the most realistic parts of all the versions of Arceus so that we don't have an, oh, Arceus is omnipotent and destroys all of the universes in Dragon Ball, which could happen in the manga. This will just be a fun what-if fight and hopefully make some sense by the end of it. Again, if I make any mistakes here, please let me know. I gladly appreciate criticism and plenty of ideas, and if you guys like this idea, I can expand on this, because I'm gonna let you know this might be a little disappointing, but if you guys want a follow-up to this, just let me know. I'll mention this again at the end, but without further ado, let's get into it. So I imagine the fight playing out like this. Arceus comes down from the Hall of Origin to try and quell the Creation Trio from a fight, because for some reason they all have awoken and now are fighting amongst each other. The battle rages against each other and Arceus decides, this is foolish. Stop this now! The Creation Trio and him do battle until Arceus proves his superiority to them, despite not using any of his power from the plates. So the Creation Trio decide to team up, and from a weird space-time influx that the Creation Trio makes to attempt to subdue him, he is shifted to another universe. One where a great battle between a man and a lizard thing, yeah, laugh it up, as three others, including a green alien, watches. Arceus watches over this battle for a while as the man throws a giant sphere of light energy towards this lizard alien and assumes to kill the lizard alien. Arceus is not aware of how this battle began and what caused it, but he has seen its climax and feels relieved. While yes, this man killed another, he can sense the good that came from the ball of energy and knows that it is for the right reasons. Then he sees that the climax has not been reached. The lizard man stands again amongst the rubble and shoots a red beam, attempting to kill the man he was fighting as the green alien steps in the way of the blast. It is at this point that Arceus begins to worry for the sakes of these beings. He can feel the evil that wells within this lizard alien. He has learned to be named Frieza. With this, the man that Arceus has also learned to be named Son Goku tells the others he knows to be Son Gohan and Krillin, to leave, where Frieza proclaims, "If you think your little friends can escape me, you're sadly mistaken," and telepathically grabs Krillin and hoists him into the air and assimilates him. With this, Arceus sees that this alien named Frieza needs to be stopped and comes down from the above to stop this madness. "You, the one they call Frieza, you are a wicked being that does not deserve life. I do not know how I am here. I come from a different time and place. However, it is quite clear why I am here. You, Frieza, need to face judgment. I do not know the extent of your crimes, but from the little that I have seen is enough for me to say that you did not deserve to live anymore." Meanwhile, as Arceus is making a speech to Frieza, Son Goku is in the background, completely devoid of all thought and not even aware of what is occurring, as he is filled with rage about the death of his friend Krillin. "I deserve to die, you say? Well, this is the same sentiment that these other fools have made me painfully aware of as well. So what makes you any different than them? I am the creator of the universe. I can give and take away as I please, and you deserve to be taken away." All the while that Arceus is speaking with Frieza, he is noticing the power welling up within Goku's body and feeling the rage building within him until... "Frieza, I won't let you get away with this!" Lightning begins to flash all around Son Goku and all over the planet until finally a flash of light engulfs Son Goku. What emerges is Son Goku, but with a golden aura and golden hair, and speaks to Son Gohan. "Gohan, you must leave this planet now and take Piccolo with you." Arceus speaks up. "That will be unnecessary, Son Goku." "What? Why do you say that?" "Son Goku, my name is Arceus. I am what you call a Pokemon. I come from a separate dimension of time and space, however. In my dimension, I created everything. I'm not fully aware of how I got here, but it is quite clear why I am here. I need to pass judgment upon this universe. I do realize that you are a great warrior and could easily dispatch of this Frieza yourself in your current state. However, this does not save the fact that I have deemed judgment. This universe I have deemed from my brief glimpse unworthy of life. There is too much anger and hate within it. This is fun and all, but God or no God, I'm Lord Frieza, and I have never heard of you. I was told from a very young age to stay away from the ones named Majin Buu and Lord Beerus the Destroyer. I have never been told to be wary of you. What was it you called yourself? Arceus? I'm the strongest in the universe, and I will destroy you all!" And with that, Frieza begins to charge up a rather large death ball, and at that moment, Arceus charges up his judgment attack and immediately dispatches Frieza into oblivion, and with his dying breath, Frieza screams, "What? How is this possible? I'm Lord Frieza!" Frieza's body falls then to the ground, motionless for a while, when Son Goku speaks up. You killed him so easily. Are you really God?" "I am the god of my world. I serve judgment as I deem fit. And Son Goku, is this what your world is really like? From this brief glimpse that I have seen, the evil in this man is indescribable. I truly hope that this is not what I am to see in this world of yours." Frieza is a very evil man. I was told that he was the emperor of the universe, buying and selling planets all across of our universe. And yes, there are more men like him. The one you see lying over there, his name was Vegeta. He came to my home planet to be granted the power of immortality to also become the ruler of the universe. However, Frieza had killed him before he could accomplish anything. He was one of Frieza's men at one time, but I still believe there could have been good in him. Arceus deliberates for a moment. "From what you described to me, Son Goku, this universe of yours, it is full of hate and evil. I am sorry. You seem like a good man, Son Goku. I am sorry I have to do this, but from what you described to me, there is the spark of good. But I believe there is too much evil to withstand the good, so this is what I must do." And with that, Arceus began to glow a bright white light. "Do you mean to destroy my universe, then?" "I do, Son Goku. I'm sorry." "Then I will just have to stop you." Goku powered up his ki in a sheer rage and began to charge up a full-powered Kamehameha to attempt to obliterate the seemingly omnipotent deity creature, when all of a sudden, "I will kill you all!" A loud scream came from the debris where Frieza's body lay. Frieza stood, barely able to walk, with one arm missing, standing considerably more muscular than just previously when Arceus dispatched this. This is what he would call his full power, 100% final form. In Frieza's remaining hand, he held a purple disc-shaped energy wave and threw it towards Arceus, who immediately stopped his attack to assimilate the universe, and glowed a slight grayish color, and his rings around his midsection changed to the same shade of gray as the glow. The disc hit Arceus, but did not even affect him. "Frieza, you are a fool. You cannot kill a god, and due to your arrogance and evil, I will now have to punish your entire existence. I am sorry this must come to be, but I cannot allow an evil man like you to live any more. Prepare yourselves. There is nowhere you can run." Arceus charged up his final attack to assimilate the universe, and in a bright flash of light, the entire universe started spinning around as if he was traveling at light speed. This seemed to go on forever until eventually Arceus stood in front of his home, at the Hall of Origin once more. Confused as to how he was back, but also relieved. He had a strange sense that the world that he had left, he knew it would be all right. Son Goku and Frieza would stand there confused for a second how they were still alive for a moment, and then quickly realized that Arceus had left. Possibly for good, possibly for not. Nobody really knows. But the fight would play out very similarly to how it did in the originals. Frieza would attempt to blow up the planet, etc., etc. However, now he would just be fighting with one hand, and Goku could much more easily dispatch of him. Now, I know this is very much headcanon and possible, well, not possibly, very much fan fiction, but this is purely just for fun. Don't think too much into this fight. It is purely for fun, and if y'all enjoyed it, cool. I can always tweak it more, and if you guys really want, I can do a follow-up to this, or I can do a redo of this, and anything works. Anything will work. So, just let me know in the future if you guys want more of this. I'm going to be doing a lot more Dragon Ball stuff, but if you want to follow up to this, or if you guys think of another Pokemon that may be able to stand up against a Dragon Ball character, let me know. I have been looking. I have really been looking, but it's hard. But okay, if you guys enjoyed this, thank you very much, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this little fan fiction-y thing, and I'm sorry this video has gone on for so long. Yeah, it's almost 55 minutes, so yeah, sorry about that. If you guys really did stick around for the whole thing, awesome, thank you very much, and hopefully the future I can do these shorter and non-rambling. I even have a script here. I don't know why I rambled, but regardless, thank you all for watching. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. My name is The Great Angel. I do Pokemon. I do Let's Plays. I do Dragon Ball. I do all kinds of different stuff. And just subscribe, and I'll see you all later then. Alright, thank you very much, everybody, and have a good day. Alright, peace.